Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
Are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, this is Jessie. I am so happy to be back with you guys. Oh, it has been a week, but it's Friday. It's Friday. So what can I say? I am, like everyone else, I am looking forward to the weekend. I mean, who doesn't look forward to the weekend? Come on. All right. I have, as always, a lot to get to. So, yesterday I talked about the Olympics, the Olympic spirit, a whole bunch of other things. You know, I discussed Olympic athletes in North Korea, how they're treated. Stuff I thought was kind of interesting. Well, unfortunately, some of the news has soured. And I'm going to have to go back to a few more serious topics today. Because, like I put in the title, it just seems like there is tension all around. It seems everybody in the world is upset with somebody. And I really wish everybody could just take a step back. So I just don't know what to say. I mean, you've got the multiple sides in the Syrian conflict. You've got Russia propping up Assad. You've got Turkey saying Assad must go. You've got us backing the rebels. You've got some of the rebels allegedly attacking Turkey. Well, the PKK does attack Turkey, the Kurds. It's one part of the Kurds, not all of them. You've got North Korea threatening to arrest Americans. You've got North Korea threatening military retaliation. Not that I actually think that's going to come to pass. You've got the South China Sea and the tensions between China and the Philippines. Can't everybody just stop, take a deep breath, and take a step back? I mean, really. Can we all take a minute and go, hey, can we all just take a deep breath? So, like I said, all I can say is, everybody, chill out. I mean, I love my show. And I love having news to bring you. But I wish there was some actual brighter things to talk about. I mean, really. I've got always stuff pulled up for you. And since I mentioned North Korea at the beginning, we're going to start with this story. Official news sources in China have claimed that plans to deploy Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, THAAD, if you're a regular listener to the show, the THAAD anti-ballistic missile system in South Korea, are pushing China, Russia, and North Korea into closer relations, what I would call a de facto authoritarian alliance. And they feel like they are facing a common threat to their national security imposed by Washington and Seoul. And this is according to Xinhua editorial. China and Russia, along with other regional countries, read North Korea, have little choice but to come closer to address this issue. China is the only country of these three not currently subject to international economic sanctions. Yet it is driving the conflict in Asia. The international community should impose such sanctions before Asia spirals into military conflict. Not doing so encourages continued risk-taking on the part of the Chinese. On the flip side of this authoritarian alliance, Chinese, North Korea, and Russian belligerency is uniting the Asian democracies. Japan and South Korea, along with the U.S. and Australia, are increasingly tough on China and North Korea in what is spiraling towards a potential military conflict, or at least an arms race and media war. South Korea plans to have the U.S. deploy THAAD in its territory, and Japan wants to speed up purchase of a THAAD system under its own operational control. THAAD is the latest issue to unite the U.S., Japan, South Korea, and Australia against China and North Korea, which are increasingly isolated from world public opinion. On July 11th, North Korea threatened a, quote, physical counteraction upon South Korea's announcement of the THAAD deployment, a step which South Korea took 2 days later on July 13th. While North Korea specializes in cheap talk, the threats are becoming increasingly frequent. North Korea's first missile launch into Japan's exclusive economic zone on August 2nd was uncomfortably close and is driving Japan to speed up proposals to purchase its own THAAD system. The prime contractor of THAAD is Lockheed Martin. Okay. And Lockheed's stock value increased a few days prior to the July 8th announcement of the THAAD deployment in South Korea, has increased over 4% since, far outpacing its peers. In vindication for analysts who predict a stock increase from THAAD deployment in South Korea, the stock has been on an upward global trajectory since 2012, in part due to increasing global instability. Meanwhile, U.S. investors are increasingly nervous. Okay. On August 6th and 7th, China dispatched 14 government vessels and up to 324 fishing boats to the Senegal or Diao Islands in the East China Sea, claimed by Japan. The proximity in time and place of these actions by North Korea and China in the East China Sea suggests that they could be coordinated. China has also sent more than a dozen naval vessels and potentially hundreds of fishing vessels and H-6K nuclear-capable bombers to Scarborough Shoal. And Scarborough Shoal is only 256 kilometers from Subic Bay in the Philippines, where U.S. forces are now returning. South Korea's strategy of close military alliance with the U.S. could be profitably utilized by other Asian countries. U.S.-South Korean defense cooperation includes the remarkable and nearly unprecedented provision for U.S. control of South Korean military forces in the event of war. This increases rapid response threats and the deterrent value of the alliance with respect to North Korea and China. But South Korea's close alliance with the U.S. should be strengthened through a European-style network approach to defense alliances. Given the increasing threat from China and North Korea, developed democracies in Asia-Pacific are ripe for stronger multilateral alliance system to replace the current U.S. hub-and-spoke system. With further Asian cries, of which the region has many, we should see a stronger democratic alliance system, perhaps one that could eventually be linked to NATO in Europe. But even without an official multilateral alliance in Asia, the Lilliputians are taming China's pretensions of regional hegemony. South Korea's THAAD deployment is the latest in a general trend of a tougher stance against China, in which most Asian countries, read not North Korea, have played a part. The Philippines won its case against China at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague on July 12th. In August, diplomats and military officers revealed that Vietnam had armed its islands in the South China Sea with sophisticated GPS-augmented inertial navigation system rockets capable of precise 10-meter targeting and 150-kilometer range. The Vietnamese rockets have the capability to target Chinese artificial islands in the South China Sea. Japan scrambles fighter jets and naval vessels dozens of times per month to match Chinese, Russian air and sea patrols over its maritime territory. The U.S. executes regular freedom of navigation patrols near Chinese-occupied artificial islands. Taiwan voted for a pro-independence party in January. Even Malaysia and Indonesia, generally among the more pro-Chinese of the ASEAN countries, ASEAN countries, have shown lack of patience with China. In March, Malaysia's defense minister threatened a, quote, pushback against China on the South China Sea issue. Indonesia's president visited disputed Natuna Islands in Japan. Both countries support stronger ASEAN statements on the South China Sea. China has a long way before it gets hegemony over Asia. The only Asian countries of note to remain quiescent on China are now Thailand, Laos, Mongolia, Brunei, and Cambodia. As should be immediately clear from this list, what China does get is primarily transfunctional or from authoritarian regimes. Thailand's military has ruled the country since a coup in 2014 and needs Chinese diplomatic support. Plus, China is Thailand's top export destination. Mongolia is landlocked and needs cooperation from China, or less conveniently Russia, for access to the sea. Brunei and Singapore, two of Asia's smallest countries and most authoritarian of countries, are sitting on the fence and stay quiet on most controversial issues related to China. Singapore's best export destination is China. A decrease in 1% of China's growth rate is estimated to decrease Singapore's growth by 1.4%. Brunei depends on China not to interfere with its oil extractions in the South China Sea. Laos and Cambodia obtain extensive development aid from China, which is linked to political concessions. On July 15th, China announced $600 million in aid to Cambodia. On July 26th, Cambodia blocked an ASEAN statement on the South China Sea. In general, Cambodia takes a strong pro-China stance on Taiwan and extradition issues and has benefited handsomely from China's development largesse since the 1950s. This issue is older than most of my listeners, I have a feeling. Despite a lack of international support, China is doubling down on its attempts to gain hegemony in Asia, leading to an arms race, media battle, and high risk of military conflict. Wang Yi, China's foreign ministry, has the world's toughest job, herding cats into a dog kennel. As indicated above, Asia is dividing into new alliances, mostly based on whether a country is democratic or authoritarian, and to what extent economies are interlinked. As these new alliances form, with the Democratic Alliance far more powerful, the possibility of military conflict or at least a new Cold War with China as the primary adversary is not out of the question. Alright, that's one area of tension. And as you heard from that story, it's huge! And I'm sorry, one person, i.e. a loudmouth on Twitter, or Lord Cheesy Poof, and I know I rarely mention U.S. politics, is not going to be able to fix it all. We need someone who is respected. And I'm sorry to venture into politics, but just bear with me. I'm not sure who I would put at the head of that table right now. I'm really not. But, you know, I can't think of a viable person. So, at least not one that's actually on a ballot anywhere. Alright. Now, if that isn't enough tension for you, I have a few more audio clips. Oh yeah. Come on. You know I do my show prep. Just getting it pulled up, just because I got it prepped, doesn't mean... Alright, just for a rewind, for those of you, since I mentioned Thailand, I'm going to play this little clip about their, quote, new constitution, which was recently voted on. I know I played it yesterday, but I just want you to hear one important thing, and unfortunately, I do not have it quite queued up yet, so you are going to have to bear with me. So we're going to have to kind of listen to the whole thing, and I'm going to stop it when it gets to the point I want to discuss. I'm trying to get it past part of it, so let's see what happens.
Just over 2 years ago, but it was voted down by its own National Reform Council. So it formed a new drafting committee, handpicked the members for that drafting committee to write a new charter, and it was put to a public referendum. The military government says it's on a roadmap to democracy. It will return democracy to Thailand, and there will be a general election towards the end of next year. But exactly what sort of democracy remains to be seen. And critics of the military, critics of this process say the military has no plans to return democracy to Thailand, and indeed it's really all about entrenching military control. It has no plans to give up that power, that political power that it enjoys. To achieve that, it wants to have the provision for an appointed Prime Minister and an unelected Senate. And in that Senate, the upper house of Parliament, 6 of those seats will be reserved for security forces. Now, what all that means is that it'll be very...
All right, as you heard, Thailand's military is in control. Now, there's another point I must have fast-forwarded past on the clip. Let's take a quick listen to the beginning of it, because there's something important about this vote.
Thai voters have overwhelmingly approved this draft constitution. The critics argue the document will just solidify the military's hold on the government. We'll get to our guests in a moment. First, though, Al Jazeera's Wayne Hayes sets up our discussion from Bangkok.
There was a particularly undemocratic lead-in to the referendum, with campaigning and criticism of the vote and the constitution itself outlawed by the government, and if found guilty, punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Indeed, many people were arrested. The army had already tried...
You heard that. Speaking out against the, quote, new, quote, constitution was punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Does that sound free or fair? Now, I know we have our own preconceived ideas about the word constitution. But I'm sorry. This just isn't acceptable. I mean, this just really isn't acceptable. I mean, I'm sorry, how people can deal with all this. It's just tension. There just seems to be tension everywhere. You've got Syria, you've got Russia and the Ukraine, you've got the ASEAN countries, the South China Sea dispute, you've got China trying to rig the game. I mean, I know I've just got a couple minutes before bottom of the hour, but I do have an article about Russia-Ukraine tensions. U.S. defense officials are telling Russia to tone down its tough talk on Ukraine, warning Moscow could inflame an already tense and fragile situation. We are extremely concerned, Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Gordon Trowbridge said Friday, emphasizing that Russia should do more to prevent further escalation. Russia is continuing this pattern of provocative rhetoric, which has obviously created an impression in a lot of minds that is something significant going on there, he added. Trowbridge also said the U.S. has not seen any evidence to support Russian claims that the Ukraine has been trying to carry out terror attacks. While he's citing what he called Moscow's record of frequently levying false accusations at Ukraine's. Okay. I don't have any audio prepped because this story literally popped up as I was doing my prep. I had no advanced knowledge it was going to be here. But if you rewind and go back to the takeover of Crimea, which is part of the Ukraine, why did Russia want it? It has a Navy base there. Now, if you rewind and think back that far, Russia kept claiming that it was protecting Russian citizens in Crimea. Now, and it kept claiming, to boot, that it was protecting them from militants, terrorists, and basically other people of ill repute. Quite frankly, of course, you can guess my opinion. Bull. And as I try and keep my shows clean, that's where I'm stopping. All right. Now, like I said, I hate to say this, and I pray I'm wrong. I don't like to be right about some things. I think the world is on the brink of World War III. And on that terrifying thought, we are going to go pay some bills so I can take a breath for a moment, say a quick prayer going, please don't let my suspicions be right, and keep our advertisers happy. I will see you in just a little over 4 minutes.
You can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now. But I don't wanna.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement.
I am going to apologize to all of you who are listening for those brief moments of dead air. No one wants to hear dead air, especially me. It seems. Host Kitty? Yeah, you? Jumped on the keyboard and knocked a setting awry. Alright, I'm going to try something completely untested here. And I'm just going to listen through my headphones, and if this works, we will use it again in the future. So it does not, no sound appears to be coming through. So we are going to just forget it. I was trying to play some audio via a different setup. It just occurred to me literally on the fly. So, alright. Yeah, I know. I'm always fiddling with something, and I'm sorry about that. So, what can I say? What can I say? I like to play with stuff. It helps me bring you the best quality stuff I can. I probably ought to back off a little bit. But, hey. So, what can I say? What can I say? I'm always a glutton for punishment. I really am. So, I am going to have to let this little experiment go, though, until I am off the air. All right. Now, back to what I was saying. As much as I like to think I'm ahead of the curve, and I have a lot going on, and I have insight into something, I don't have any special sources. I promise. I don't. I have special background, a unique background, which I think does give me, as I say in the intro, a unique perspective on the world around us. But at this point, I'm not sure that the fact that we appear to be on the verge of World War III is my perspective alone. I'm really not. So, what can I say? I hope and pray I'm wrong. As much as I like to be right, can't we just all get along, or at least not try and kill each other? All right, I have another story I have to bring you. As much as I would like to sit here and opine, let me get this pulled up. Yeah, I know. I have them. I got the audio clips today. I just didn't get them as well prepped as I usually do, so I'm having to find them as we go. And I found it. All right. This, as many of you know, Aleppo, Syria, yeah, another tense area around the world, is a divided city. It's held by multiple factions, multiple interests competing. And there's a lot of things wrong in Aleppo. A lot. And boy, do I mean a lot. So, a bunch of Syrian doctors wrote an open letter to Obama because, to quote them, and I will, Syria is losing its medical facilities. They're being bombed. And I think it is unconscionable. Yes. Unconscionable. To basically bomb a hospital. I really do. Now, here is the audio clip. It is long. It is almost 4.5 minutes, but every word is vital.
A dire humanitarian crisis in Syria and a plea for help. An open letter today from 15 of the last doctors serving the remaining 300,000 citizens of eastern Aleppo in Syria, which is being blockaded and besieged by the Assad regime. The doctors telling President Obama they have seen, quote, no effort on behalf of the United States to lift the siege or even use its influence to push the parties to protect civilians, unquote. We thought it was important for you to hear these doctors' words, so let me read an excerpt of their letter. For 5 years, the doctors write, we have faced death from above on a daily basis, but we now face death from all around. For 5 years, we have borne witness as countless patients, friends, and colleagues suffered violent, tormented deaths. For 5 years, the world has stood by and remarked how complicated Syria is, while doing little to protect us. Right now, there is an attack on a medical facility every 17 hours. At this rate, Our medical services in Aleppo could be completely destroyed in a month, leaving 300,000 people to die. What pains us most as doctors is choosing who will live and who will die. Young children are sometimes brought into our emergency rooms so badly injured that we have to prioritize those with better chances or simply don't have the equipment to help them. 2 weeks ago, 4 newborn babies, gasping for air, suffocated to death after a blast cut the oxygen supply to their incubators. Gasping for air, their lives ended before they had really begun. Unless a permanent lifeline to Aleppo is opened, it will be only a matter of time until we are again surrounded by regime troops, hunger takes its hold, and hospital supplies run completely dry. We do not need tears or sympathy or even prayers. We need your action. Prove that you are the friend of Syrians. Let's bring in CNN's Clarissa Ward now. She was in rebel-held Aleppo just months ago. And Clarissa, you also spoke before the United Nations Security Council this week about Syria. Tell us what's happening.
Well, the situation in Aleppo, Jake, is one of these extraordinary things where every time I go, I say it couldn't possibly get any worse, and yet it continues to get worse and worse. You now have 300,000 people living in the rebel-held part of the city, which has been more or less under siege now for nearly a month. You heard the pleas of those doctors. They don't have CT scanners. They don't have life support machines. They don't have oxygen. They don't have enough food. They don't have medical supplies. They have no electricity. They have no diesel now, which powers the generators that keeps those hospitals operational. We've also heard from the UN that there are problems now with the water system and the plumbing, that affecting civilians on all sides of Aleppo, not just in rebel-held Aleppo. So clearly, this is a humanitarian disaster. We did hear from the Russians today that they would like to have a 3-hour ceasefire daily, whereby some food and aid could be brought in. But the UN said right afterwards, hold on a second, we need at least 48 hours to get in there and do the work that needs to be done, Jake.
And Clarissa, this plea from these doctors for help also comes as we're hearing of more suspected gas attacks in the city. What are you learning?
That's right. We learned overnight, according to medical staff on the ground in eastern Aleppo, there was another chlorine gas attack. Reportedly, 3 people killed, among them a mother and 2 children. And the U.S.'s one claim to success in Syria, essentially, has been that it coordinated this bargain between the Russians and the regime to remove chemical weapons, to stop them from being used on the ground in Syria. We are now seeing these chlorine gas attacks happening more and more frequently. And you heard the tone from those letters, Jake. The people in Syria believe very strongly that the U.S., by not acting, is implicit, or complicit rather, in these crimes by Russia and by the regime of Bashar al-Assad, Jake.
All right, Clarissa Ward, thank you so much.
All right, as you heard, Russia, and I will give them credit where credit is due, has offered a meager 3-hour-a-day ceasefire safety corridor to bring in aid. And the UN's going, what do you expect us to do in 3 hours? Really? All right. Well, you say, well, it's something. It is and it isn't. It really is more nothing than anything. All right, let me explain that. How long does a plane flight take? Takes hours. How long does it take to load a military style, let's say a C-140, a C-130 cargo plane? Takes at least a couple hours. How long does it take to unload it? I will grant you it can be unloaded faster than it can be loaded. However, if you think back to World War II, and I am a student of history, how often were planes running in the Berlin airlift to keep the city of Berlin sustained? They were running something like every 20 minutes around the clock. Around the clock. Not, oh, you can dump some stuff once a day for 3 hours. The number of planes they would have to have waiting to cross into Aleppo in a 3-hour time span, and that's saying there's an actual viable runway in the part of Aleppo that needs the supplies, or anywhere in Aleppo, that can handle that size plane. You're like, well, they airdropped stuff to people on Mount Sinjar. They did. That was fewer people. At least I believe the number was fewer. And it only went on for a few days before they were able to negotiate, maybe a month or so, before they were able to negotiate safe passage. And there were multiple countries flying. Now, I do have to call out our heavy lift people who rig these pallets of supplies. They do an excellent job. All right? If we could use you guys to solve the world's problems, I'd be all for it. So, yeah. All right. I'm trying to find a good news story today, because I don't know about you guys. I need a good one. I mean, really. I've got another one for you, but it ain't much more cheerful. Wish it was. Alright, I think this is the right audio. I will start it, and if I am wrong, we will stop it. Alright. Let's take a listen.
It's 18 months since they left.
Okay, yes, this is the proper audio I was looking for. Let me pull up. All right. We're going to go back to ISIS. Khadija Sultana and 2 of her friends, if you recall, left London to go to Syria to marry Islamic State fighters. Well, this week, news has emerged that Khadija is believed to have been killed in a Russian airstrike in May. All right, this is August. The airstrike happened in May. The family's just now being notified, and I'm sure there's no body to return. So, I've got some audio on this, and we are going to listen to it. I will warn you, it is a little long. It's going to be the last clip, and I'm not going to have long to talk about it before I get off the air.
It's 18 months since they left. First to Turkey, then to Syria. 3 heartbroken families were left behind. ITV News has followed their stories. We travelled to Istanbul to trace the girls' route.
I don't really recognise my sister, the video, the CCTV we saw, because this is just not her.
But ever since, they've been trying to get them back to London. Tonight, we reveal how one of the girls wanted to return, and her family's extraordinary attempts to orchestrate it after making contact from their East London home.
Things have changed. The way she used to communicate with me, the way she used to talk about things is totally changed to what up until now she's scared of, being there.
Her sister is Khadija Sultana, who was 16 years old when she left.
And then she told me that she got a job.
This is the start of a chain of events, of emotional exchanges that will end in tragedy. Khadija has told them the man she married in Syria has been killed and she wants to come back. From Raqqa, she's arranged a conversation with her sister.
I don't have a good feeling, I feel scared.
What, you feel scared?
Yeah.
Why do you feel scared?
You know, if something goes wrong, like, that's it.
I know what you mean.
I'll never be able to.
I understand what you mean, and it is, you know, from where you are, I can understand that, you know, you're feeling like that is not abnormal. But the only thing I would say to you is just trust us.
You know, the borders are closed right now. So how am I going to get out? I'm not going to go through PKK territory to come out. I'm never going to do that ever.
They want her to leave in the back of a cab to get to a safe house.
Which side of the park is it on?
But first they have to establish her current location.
It's a square park, right? It's called Al-Baik. You know, the spelling is A-L and Baik is B-A-I-K. But how confident are you, like, say, when things are put in place and you have to get on a cab? How confident are you feeling in terms of just that?
Zero. Where's Mom?
Mum's home.
No, I want to speak to her.
You can call anyone at Mum's. She sounds very terrified, you know, and she did get very emotional there as well. It just feels, I really feel helpless, really, thinking, you know, if I can just sit here, what can I do? It's really hard. I don't think she's ever made a choice by herself, has she?
Well,
Anything.
That was the first one.
That was the first one and a very big one. But she's actually never ever made a choice by herself. I kind of just look forward for the next call. And that's what keeps me going. Okay, I know Sunday she's going to contact me and that's it.
But there wouldn't be many more conversations like this. The family received a call to say Khadija had been killed in an airstrike. This can't be verified, but the calls home have now stopped. Today, their former lawyer said there should be lessons for anyone trying to travel to Syria.
It's most unfortunate that this situation has arisen, and one would hope that the only benefit out of this is as a tombstone and a testament to others of these are the risks actually involved in going to a war zone, to dissuade people from ever making that choice, really.
But Khadija didn't travel alone, and we don't know the intentions or the fate of the other girls she travelled to Syria with.
We literally have no idea. I mean, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have been sold into slavery. We have no clue. And as a result, these other two families are left wondering. You can hear the terror and the fear in this teenager's voice. Why she is beyond my comprehension. It is 100% beyond. All right. On that note, I am going to plug one of my fellow shows, and then I am going to leave you for the day, and I may try and grab some more audio and do a little bit more on this story if I can find it for Saturday. Now, I've got an upcoming vacation. I may have somebody sitting in for me. The details haven't been finalized yet. Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Yes, 11 a.m. Eastern. Our own Bryce from Opinion Nation will have Jill Stein of the Green Party, presidential candidate Jill Stein of the Green Party, on for an interview. And on that note, I'm out here.
You can lay down if you wanna.